Welcome, weirdos, to another sledgehammering, mushroom hoarding, and time looping episode of You Should Play, a show where I break into your house to bring you the weirdest, spookiest, and most unique indie games I can find. This week, I was given an ominous letter telling me to talk about Envelope, a strange blend of comedy and horror dipped in a light immersive sim coding with just a dash of roguelite that challenges you to fulfill my lifelong dream of assassinating rich people. For legal reasons, this is a joke. Grab your lockpicks and try not to light yourself on fire. It's time to talk about why you should play Envelope. Envelope is unlike any game I've played before it. It's not that the design is completely batshit crazy, although it does have plenty of weird moments. It's more of just how the general gameplay loop is executed and expanded upon as the player progresses. After playing through the prologue where you're given the titular envelope with a violent mission and even more violent threat, the rest of the game is split into two different sections, easily summed up as planning and then execution. In the planning stage, you're given a small but open town to explore at your own pace, filled with a myriad of funny, rude, and strange characters to interact with. No matter what you do here, your goal for the game stays the same. Break into the mansion and deal with its owner. The world is your oyster, and it's your job to scavenge, quest, destroy, and kill for anything that will help you satisfy this goal. This section is definitely the biggest chunk of your time with Envelope, and seeing as you'll be coming back here quite a lot, it's only fitting that there's so much to experiment with and explore. There's another big way the game is expanded even further, but more on that later, ... foreshadowing transition. The second part of the game, in a complete turn from before, feels a lot more like a simplified but just as deadly take on classic Splinter Cell games. Using the tools and equipment you've gathered, you're free to experiment in the world's deadliest playground, with numerous routes, shortcuts, strategies, and obstacles littering the mansion, and multiple solutions for however you choose to approach this challenge. Scale walls, break doors, pick locks, and try not to die in the process, or it's back to square one. Or is it? While my first run of this section felt very straightforward and difficult, multiple playthroughs and a lot of experimentation led me to finding so many different tricks and secrets that are scattered all throughout the grounds and the mansion. This experimentation was a huge part of why I'm talking about this game in the first place. Envelope, at a first glance and even on your first playthrough, seems relatively straightforward, but if you take the time to explore, there are two different worlds with their own possibilities just waiting to be uncovered. Possibilities that are expanded on and rewarded with consecutive playthroughs. With that, I think it's time we talked about the wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Guess what? You spent all that time prepping and, well, probably died anyway, but this is only the beginning of your journey. Guess what, loser? You're stuck in a time loop. Happens to the best of us. This is where the roguelite aspect of Envelope comes into play, which, aside from being a clever plot mechanic, is also the center of your real goal with this unfortunate encounter. The addition of the time loop mechanic opens up a lot of replayability for Envelope, because not only do you now have a checklist of different endings to achieve, you have the full list of side quests, bonus objectives, permanent unlocks, and more fun ways to die in order to break this loop. Each time you replay, you're given random starting items and the ability to purchase new equipment unlocked through the many side quests and secrets buried throughout the preparation stage. This means that each time you play, you're gaining knowledge about the convoluted mechanisms of the mansion, as well as faster and easier access to the tools you need to break into it. While I struggled at first, the introduction of this mechanic and the ability to influence future playthroughs really made Envelope click for me. It took 3 sections of this video just to talk about the gameplay here, because Envelope was consistently surprising me and mixing up my experience with what felt like multiple slightly different games all connected together. Envelope's plot is serious, but never takes itself too seriously, and isn't afraid to completely unroot itself from reality just for a little gag. In 1 minute, I was helping a troublemaking kid pay off his debt in exchange for a bullet, and in the next, I was throwing coins at a talking duck for a rare trading card. The beauty of Envelope's world is that aspect of discovery I mentioned previously. There's no map, no objective markers, you write your own quest logs, and there's something new hidden around every corner. Envelope, in its open world phase, is relaxing in its own special way, and while there's a checklist for completing everything to achieve a final ending, none of it feels like mindless padding. Every encounter is a little treat that can lead to some completely game-changing equipment or just something to laugh about, and it always felt like there was something new for me each time I came back to this world. Overall, while Envelope felt a little too slow for me in my first few playthroughs, the philosophy behind the design of this experience is what pushed me to keep going, and when everything started to click in my head, I couldn't step away from the keyboard until I reached one of the game's multiple final endings. As I continued putting pieces together in this massive puzzle, the larger story at play slowly revealed itself, along with new secrets that I had walked past so many times before. I'm usually not a huge fan of the hardcore game mindset, where players should have to figure out everything for themselves with no help from maps or user interfaces, aside from Souls-likes, which I completely obsess over. But the developer behind Envelope has opened my eyes to what this approach actually means. Where some other games with this sort of mindset just throw the player into unexplained situations with convoluted and complex mechanics for the sake of being difficult, Envelope takes that information and scatters it across the world and the characters inhabiting it, encouraging exploration and rewarding it with hints to even more things you can do. This title is a deceptively simple taste of several different genres that attempts something new with the familiar, crafting a strange little world that feels so much bigger than the sum of its parts, thanks to intricately woven secrets that beg to be uncovered. And that's why you should play Envelope. Thank you so much for watching today's video. This is a small channel, so please remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed and subscribe for all things weird and spooky. We're at almost 1,300 subscribers now, so clearly every single one of you makes a huge difference and gets me that much closer to being able to do this work for a living. Apologies for that little bit of reverb in today's recording. I'm still in the process of setting up the recording space in my new apartment. Do you have a game recommendation for me to check out next? Are the shadows in your closet whispering arcane secrets you want to share? Leave a comment below. If you want even more moose in your life, I stream weird and spooky indie games every Saturday on YouTube and Twitch, so come and join the chaotic fun. There's also a Discord channel full of weirdos, cool artists, and all sorts of forbidden knowledge about what I'm working on next. All of these links and plenty more can be found in the description below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.